Oh, would you look at that? A follow-up video to one that has an abnormal amount of views that will never actually reach the same success as the original, made specifically to correct the original, but won't actually reach even half the audience. Not like that's ever been done before, am I right?
Well, it looks like my Ultra Instinct video blew up fatter than Planet Namek, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, hey, it's me. I completely forgot to record an intro for this video, so, my Ultra Instinct video was a thing, and here's part 2, responding to your comments.
As you would probably guess, there was a large number of people on that video who either completely missed the point, or just vastly misinterpreted or misunderstood what I was actually saying in the video. Granted, that's partially my fault, because I probably could have explained some of the stuff in that video better, but hey, it happens. Today I wanted to revisit that video and be a little more specific on some of the points I was bringing up there, and to do so, I'll be responding to some of the frequently asked questions that I've been getting in the comments of the original video. You know, I would have done it on a pinned comment or something, but nobody reads those, so it gets its own video. I also just want to say before I get into this, if I show your comment on screen and critique it, I'm not making fun of you, I'm just explaining why you're wrong. And another thing, even though I did do my research for that video, I'm not a scientist, alright? I'm no expert on flow states or anything like that. I'm no expert, but just so take what I say with a grain of salt, a large grain of salt, you know, maybe a yay high grain of salt. You know, it happens, yeah. But with that said, let's get weird, let's get wild, and let's get right in to your comments. So, right off the bat, I've noticed I got like 1.5 million comments about people who claim that they went Ultra Instinct or were using the flow state while playing dodgeball. And now I don't know if that was me subliminally putting ideas in your head by showing the clip from the movie Dodgeball in the beginning of the video, or if it's that old meme of the kid doing a judo flip and somebody edited like Dragon Ball Z stuff on top of it to make him do Ultra Instinct. I don't know if it was that, just planting ideas in your head, making you think that, oh, I went Ultra Instinct when I was playing dodgeball. But there were a lot of comments that just said almost the exact same thing, like verbatim. There were a ton of comments along the lines of like, oh, I was playing dodgeball in gym class, and a ball was by my face, and I dodged without thinking or looking at it. And while I'm not saying you weren't in flow, there's a very, very high probability that you probably were not. To simplify this, I found a few comments on the original video that goes to show this misconception in a more general way. So, quick reactions to something is considered Ultra Instinct. For example, if an object falls, you don't even think of it, you automatically catch it. And some other guy replies, actions that you don't know you are doing until it's over. And then another guy replies, yeah, basically. No, not yeah, basically. That's not exactly how it works. Now, I think this was partially my fault because I made things out to be way more general than they actually were, and it was probably poor wording on my part. But to answer this question and kind of debunk a lot of these dodgeball comments, no. That's not how it works. When you're in a flow state, it is true that you don't really think about whatever it is that you're doing while you're doing it, but that doesn't mean that everything you do without thinking about it is a flow state. Like, you know, like you move your arm or you can read, you know, you don't think about those kind of things. You just kind of know how to do them instinctively. That doesn't mean you're like in a different state of mind, you know what I'm saying? Like you can move your arm around in any state of mind, and it doesn't change the fact that you don't need to think about moving your arm in order for it to do it. I think a lot of these dodgeball related comments can be easily explained by like just natural human reflections and reactions to different stimulus. You know, you don't need to be in a flow state to dodge a ball. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody throws a ball at me, like right now, and I notice it coming, I'm gonna react to it in some way, you know, I might flinch, I might catch it, I might swat at it, I could do a number of things, and maybe I don't need to think about those things while I'm doing them at that exact moment, but it doesn't exactly mean that I'm in flow state. Dodgeball specifically is an easier one to kind of point out the flaws in, because in a dodgeball game, you're going into it knowing that your main goal is to dodge the ball, you know, it's in the name. So you go into the game with that mindset that you're already more like alert and just ready to dodge things. So it doesn't mean you're really in a flow state, you're just kind of more prepared in that general scenario. Any physical activity in general is very easy to confuse for flow because of the nature of physical activity. With physical movement like running or something like that, you don't need to use your brain. You're it's not like a video game or a puzzle or a math problem where you just have to actually like use your brain. If anything, it's probably easier to get into a flow state for physical activity because it doesn't require any external thought, and it's probably a lot more difficult for mental activity. A lot of physical activity might seem like flow based on the description in the original video, but not necessarily every time. And again, that's partially my fault because I worded it poorly. It's kind of like all thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs, if you know what I'm saying. You know, like all flow states are your body reacting naturally to random stimulus, but not all instances of your body reacting naturally to stimulus is a flow state. Like, you know, I can drop my phone react fast enough to catch it before it hits the ground. But that doesn't make me powerful enough to defeat Beerus, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not necessarily in a flow state while you're just, you know, dropping things and catching them and just not thinking. We do things every day where we just don't think about them. And that doesn't mean we're in a flow state. We're just in a regular state of mind. You know, we just do things without thinking. Another comment that I got a lot of was a lot of people supposedly being able to dodge attacks without looking. So like, for example, your friend punches you from behind and you just instinctively duck, you know, that kind of thing. A lot of these were kids talking about their parents beating them or, you know, getting into random fights at school. And definitely raised some red flags, you know. You guys okay? You know, maybe dial it back a bit and don't share your childhood trauma on the internet for everybody to see. You know, I could tell some of you were kids because of your abysmal grammar, but you know, dial it down a bit, dial it back a bit. But anyways, I think some of y'all are just straight up lying. In order for the body to react at all to, say, like a punch, for example, the brain needs to receive some form of stimulus, meaning that you need to see, hear, or feel something in order for your brain to react to it. You know, your brain needs something to put the pieces together and figure out that you might be in danger and react accordingly. You know, like if somebody is standing right in front of you and they throw a punch, chances are your body is just gonna naturally dodge it just by pure instinct, no flow stage required. In the instant before you dodge, your eyes detect the threat, they send the signal to the brain, and your brain sends the signal to whatever body parts are needed to actually successfully dodge the punch. But you know, assuming somebody is standing behind you completely silent, you have no idea what's going on, and they go to punch you in the back of the head, there is zero way that your brain can figure out what's going on and react to it because there's no stimulus until the punch actually hits you. I think this might be a little bit too much Dragon Ball or Kung Fu movies getting into your heads. You know, with Goku and his friends, they can dodge things without seeing, you know, without using their eyes, you know. But, you know, you gotta remember, they can sense ki, you know, they can sense wherever somebody is at any given moment. But we don't have that in real life. It's not a real thing. So if somebody tells you that they dodged a punch from behind without actually looking at it while their guard was down, they're probably lying to you, or at least bending the truth a little bit. Because it doesn't make any logical sense based on how the body works. Even for legitimate masters of martial arts, this doesn't work. Even Goku has been hit by cheap shots like that. The next point that I wanted to elaborate on comes from some of your comments talking about your intense focus on particular tasks in that whole half of the Ultra Instinct equation. Much like the dodgeball example from earlier, this isn't necessarily indicative of the flow state, though it very well could be depending on the situation. Flow is actually a lot more like meditation than anything else, as I said in the original video, but flow is like, it's a relaxed focus. In fact, it sounds like most of you are lacking the relaxation part of this equation. For example, I had a woodshop teacher in high school who told us about how he loved cutting identical pieces of wood over and over again all day because it was just like a mindless task to him. He didn't need to think about it. He could just think about other stuff while he was doing it. No, it's the kind of task where you could just turn your brain off yet still function normally, which is basically mushin, Japanese for no mind, essentially the Japanese equivalent to the flow state. In fact, mushin is probably a better comparison to Ultra Instinct because of its relation to martial arts, with flow being a little more all-encompassing. Bruce Lee is known for his sayings regarding this state of mind, you know, about living in the moment, in the present moment. In other words, the only thing that exists to you is whatever you're doing at that moment. While I was writing this video, the only thing that existed to me was the Google Doc and literally nothing else. That was the reason I brought up meditation in the original video, because I wanted to point out how it's possible to shift your focus into the present moment and to block out everything else. And I feel like a lot of people missed that point. Focusing on playing Fortnite isn't necessarily flow or mushin. You could just be intently focused. Just kind of like with the thumbs and the fingers, not all instances of focus are flow state. Some are, but not all. In fact, the vast majority are not. This next set of comments are a little less common, but I see them from time to time, are those that are people correlating flow with sleep and thinking that sleeping is just the flow state or that you are technically asleep while in flow. I can see how you might confuse the two given my vague definition in the original video, but they are undeniably two separate things. They are in no way related. Flow is basically an unconscious action, but you're very much awake and aware of what you're doing. Sleep is just sleep. It's its own thing. It's not a form of flow even in the slightest. I can see how you might confuse the two given the not thinking about anything aspect, but it's simply just not the same from a scientific standpoint. Flow is a mindset more than anything else, so you basically have to be conscious and awake for it to work, and sleep has nothing to do with it. It's its own entity. So those are about all the common comments I got on the video explained. Hopefully, I fixed some of the mistakes that I made in the original video, and I'm not gonna lie, most of y'all severely missed the point. But I'm glad that I could clarify things, and I hope that I've cleared up any confusion left from the original video. Like I said in part 1, I'm no expert, but if you want to know more about flow states and the real-life equivalent to Ultra Instinct, go check out the Bioneer on YouTube. He's got a series of videos on flow states that are way more in-depth and more scientifically accurate than mine. But with that said, that's all I have for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. NANI? 俺はおちちき大好きなんだよ。私はあの猫を返します。